All right, so Manchester United failed to beat Copenhagen last night. What does this mean for us, guys? Well, clearly we needed to win the game to get into a good, standing. Give us a good opportunity of us going through in this Champions League. Honestly, before this game, I completely wrote us off, and I was honestly expecting Manchester United to do something different. I was hoping that Manchester United could, completely obliterate my expectations for them because I didn't expect them to get out of these group stages. And yesterday, they failed to to beat Galatasaray, even when they had a two-goal lead twice in the match. Somehow we managed to bottle it. Anyway, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Glory Reds FC, football channel podcast. And yeah, I'm gonna be doing the match reaction of Galatasaray versus Manchester United in the UEFA Champions League. And unfortunately, for a lot of us who still think that we have a chance to make it through, oh man, the chances are next to impossible. But before we get into that, let's have a look at the starting lineup. Ten Hag decided to go with it was Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, decided to go with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and I think rightfully so. Galatasaray, Man United. I think that match in our group has had the most goals. So it's a very open football. We're not playing Galatasaray. There's no long low block in that match. They really go at us. We really go at them. That game was always going to be open for a lot of goals. But what we needed to be in that game was discipline. We needed to be disciplined like we were when we got those first two goals and we held them off, right? And then obviously we went ahead and conceded, but we'll definitely get more into that. Starting lineup, we had Onana as our goalkeeper, Aaron Wan-Bissaka as our left back, our center back pairing of Lindelof and Harry Maguire. We started Luke Shaw, who is back from injury. Midfield, very interesting. I honestly thought he was gonna, pair up Amrabat with Kobe Mainu, and I think that's a partnership that a lot of United fans want to see because that could really be um, a very strong midfield pairing. Either Kobe Mainu and Amrabat or Kobe Mainu and Casemiro. I think that partnership is way better than pairing them up with McTominay. Now, look, I can't take away the fact that McTominay has been in very good, goal scoring form, so to say. He gets a goal in every, three matches or so, but he just doesn't do his job as a CDM. And yes, he does give us an opportunity of getting a goal, but he always leaves an opportunity in the midfield for us to get run around or run over and give the opportunity a chance to break through our defenses and go score a goal. In fact, he almost conceded again a penalty for us. Luckily, I don't know what happened in that situation, but that penalty wasn't given. But anyway, we had Scott McTominay and Amrabat pairing in the midfield together with Bruno Fernandes, and Marcus Rashford of course didn't start because he got a red card in the previous Champions League game, so he wasn't able to start that game. So we had a front three of Anthony, Garnacho, and Rasmus Højlund returning from injury. So that was our starting lineup going into this match. Honestly, I was a little disappointed because Kobe Mainu had a brilliant start against Everton. I was really hoping to see him start against Galatasaray, especially that we needed the points. We needed to be defensively sound. We needed to be strong and dominating in that midfield. And as I spoke of Kobe Mainu before in my previous episode, he's a player that looks the most experienced in that Manchester United side. He's really holding down that midfield. Even when he was subbed in later during the match, you know, he sort of held things together. There was control in the midfield, those stability. And I'm not saying it wasn't that before he came on, but there was definitely a difference. Those much more composure and much more stability in that midfield. But yeah, so the game kicked off. Manchester United took a two-goal lead. Garnacho opened the goal scoring with his first goal that came. I can't even remember what time it came into the game, but he managed to get us a goal ahead, and then Bruno Fernandes with an absolute belter of a goal. Fernandes actually assisted Garnacho with his first goal, and then of course he went ahead and scored his first Champions League goal this season, which was absolutely brilliant. I think it was his first Champions League goal, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, that goal was absolutely brilliant. The football wasn't pretty, guys. Let's be honest. Like, we played all right. The game was messy. It was always going to be messy because apart from Bayern, who are very comfortable and who have already qualified out of the group stages, Copenhagen, Galatasaray, Manchester United are literally fighting for that second place spot. So this game was always going to be like a cup final. And it felt like a cup final because goals were coming in left, right, and center. And it was such an exhilarating match to watch. Honestly, at some point, I just didn't see us losing that match. You know, I don't think anyone anticipated such a huge goal scoring um, game. Maybe at most 4 goals was the most prediction that people would put to say these how many goals are going to be scored during the game. But yeah, 6 goals is something else. But let's talk about Anthony because this is his first game that he has played in a long time, and honestly, it was always going to be a risk. All right. It was always going to be a risk. But fortunately for us, I think he did have a good game, despite us drawing the game. I definitely saw him doing things way much better than previously what he was doing when he was in the team. So clearly he's been spoken to, clearly has been working on his game. He's been finding players much faster. His decision making was much more better. Playing into the box, I just thought he's definitely I don't want to say improved, but you know what? Yeah, there's definitely an improvement from the previous games, and we can see that you know he has been working on something, and his gameplay is looking way much better than it was previously. So, Anthony, I just wanted to bring him up and mention to say that he had a good game. I would like to see him in the next game. If he's gonna continue, playing the way he played against Galatasaray, he's a player that still might feature against Newcastle. But that would mean Garnacho on the bench. So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll get into that later. But anyway, that was Anthony. Um, Scott McTominay. So obviously Scott McTominay went and scored the third goal. We're all happy with Scott McTominay, but it's a conversation we had before. Like Scott McTominay, yes, he is scoring goals, but it's crippling us in the midfield because we're getting overrun, right? Because he's never in position, and whenever he is in position, he's not defensively sound as we need him to be, as we want him to be. He doesn't have the energy in the midfield as Kobe Mainu, as Amrabat, as Casemiro. At times you just find him wandering around that midfield, looking absolutely lost, and he has no idea what he's doing. He only comes alive in that final third, which is great. But, speaking of position wise, in a position sense, where he's actually supposed to be playing and what he's actually supposed to be doing, he's not doing it. And he's nowhere to be found. And it's costing us. It's really costing us. McTominay, we're happy he's on goal scoring form, but really, he just needs to be a player coming off the bench and should be nowhere near the starting lineup if he's going to be playing in that midfield. So for me, the Scott McTominay thing is an absolute no-no, right? Bruno Fernandes, like I said, beautiful goal. Um, I honestly can't say he could have done more. I honestly can't say anyone in that team could have done more. I believe they gave their all. I believe they gave their best in that match. And I know right now we're very emotional, we're very upset that, once again we what you call this, we're 2 goals up and we let the lead down not once but twice, and we've just put ourselves in a position that we can't get out of, right? We've put ourselves in a well, basically knocked ourselves out of the Champions League. All right, let me not sugarcoat this. Like we literally, knocked ourselves out. We should be second. We should be second, and we should honestly be looking towards that Bayern Munich game for a victory or for a draw or whatever. But we just made the task way more difficult than it actually should be. Rasmus Hoyland, he had a quiet game yesterday. Um, yeah, he didn't even score. I honestly can't remember his presence during that match. Um, anyway, understandably so. Some players come back from injury and they hit the ground running. Some players it takes some time to warm up. But like we've said, Manchester United forwards just don't get enough, supply of the ball. So we starve our strikers of the ball. We don't give them enough opportunity and enough chances, to really get at the defenders and really get goal scoring opportunities to score goals. So his game was pretty average. Martial came in, Meno came in later on during the game. Like I said, Meno really helped stabilize that midfield. Martial again, just not enough time to really get into the game. And we needed to rest players at the end of the day, right? We needed to rest players. We're facing Newcastle in the Premier League. It's going to be a tough match. So we still want our players fit and ready for that match because after all, we did play away, right? We didn't play home, traveling. Still need to come back, recuperate, get into good form, get into good fitness for the next match. So I can understand why certain substitutes were made. And in all fairness, I think Ten Hag has really improved over these past two games with the substitutes that he's making in terms of who is bringing off the pitch and who is bringing on the pitch. All right. But anyway, guys, enough of that. I think we've really, broken down some of my thoughts about the match, some of my opinions. But let's address the elephant in the room, and that, of course, is Andre Onana, who is getting a lot of stick, and he's basically the reason. He's, that player that all the United fan base, uh, how can I say, venting all their frustrations out on. Basically, Onana cost us the game. Now, that statement in itself has a lot of depth to it. All right, it's tough. Okay, it's really tough. Anjo Nana is a player that not a lot of Manchester United supporters agreed with when he was brought into the club, especially with the exit of David De Gea, who is a club legend, a fan favorite, and Anjo Nana did not get off to the best of starts this season. Okay, over the recent couple of games, his form has definitely improved. He has picked up, he has become better, he is getting that confidence back. But the one time we really needed him, he let us down. I don't want to be too harsh on Onana because I'm pretty sure he knew that a lot was riding on that game. And I guess it just boils down to the pressure got to him. The pressure got to him, and now United fan base are on his neck. Honestly, I'm not. All right. And don't confuse, my sentiments towards him as me not acknowledging that he cost us the match. He definitely cost us the match, but I'm not mad at him. I'm really not because look, we also didn't take a lot of our chances. All right, we can equally blame this match on our forward players. We had a lot of opportunities to score more than 3 goals, and unfortunately, we didn't. All right, Onana did have some good saves during this match as well. We could have literally, vice versa, had more goals conceded, right, than what we scored. So this game, just like the Everton game, literally could have gone either way. So I will give props to some of the goals that he did save, but at the end of the day, that doesn't count for anything. He did still cost us that match, but I feel putting this whole, you know, match on him like that, like the way the fan base is really going in on him, I just feel it's honestly unfair because he has really tried to get into his stride and get back into and become basically a better goalkeeper, right? And I know a lot of people always want to make reference to back to when De Gea came into the club and like it's not easy for a new keeper to get into a club and integrate and you know what I mean, just really be that solid goalkeeper that we need him to be. So if the fan base understand this, then why are we being so harsh on Onana, right? Because David De Gea himself didn't have the best of seasons, and I've repeatedly said this. The first season of David De Gea, I was like, he needs to leave the club. We need to sell him. We've made a big mistake. And look, later on, he's now become one of Manchester United's greatest legends at the football club. So we need to take a lesson from that and say, look, it's not easy for a goalkeeper to get in to come into a new club and automatically, hit the ground running. Some do it, some don't. Some need time. So we need to learn from those past experiences and say, look, for Dave, it wasn't easy, right? And eventually we had to give him the support, and that's why he became the keeper that he eventually became, right? So with Andre Onana, because we already had that learning curve with David De Gea, we shouldn't repeat that same cycle with Andre Onana and basically take him through the same what you call this, the same cycle which we went through with David De Gea, with just absolutely, venting out all our frustrations out on him. In fact, we should do the opposite and encourage him and say, look, it's not easy. Yes, this situation was bad for us. You cost us this game, but we need to keep our head up and we need to keep on moving because trolling him and trashing on him and blaming him and throwing all this negativity his way is not going to help our situation. We're facing Newcastle next. These guys on an outrageous goal scoring form, right? Right now, we need our keeper focused. We need him, to have all the positive vibes as possible to jump into this match and be 100% focused and not be concerned about the fan base gonna be boo me when I walk into the stadium because I just cost them, a spot in the Champions League round of 16. We need to really go out there and still give him ensures him our support and say, look, man, these things happen. You did cost us that game. What's done is done. We can speak all day about it. It's not gonna change the fact that it happened, but we need to move on to the next one. So yeah, man. I that's yeah, that's it on Onana. And of course, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, United are basically out of the Champions League. All right, the only way United and man, this is just talking about it, it's so I just can't imagine United qualifying because this has to happen for United to qualify. Okay, number one, we need to beat Bayern Munich. That's number one. Okay, number two, Copenhagen and Galatasaray have to draw, and I don't see any of those two being a possibility because first and foremost, this team is not yet organized and not yet ready to go and beat Bayern Munich. That one is just not happening. And if we pull it off, well done to us. I'll be happy. I'll be ecstatic. All is well. But that result alone is not good enough because either, yeah, not either, but if we beat them, then they have to draw. That's the only way it's happening. And if Bayern beat us, then that's it. Because even if Copenhagen and Galatasaray draw the match, we are still not going to qualify. So let me just check it real quick. Let me see. If they draw, who goes through? Copenhagen goes through. All right. Yeah. If they draw the match, Copenhagen goes through. It doesn't matter if they draw 0-0, 1-1, 2, whatever. But whoever draws that match goes through. Okay. I mean, Copenhagen goes through. And obviously, Galatasaray and Copenhagen want a spot in the round of 16. So both teams are going to be gunning for the victory. So we have to rely on those two teams to draw. And we have to absolutely go and beat Bayern Munich. And that's the only way we're going to qualify past this group stage into the round of 16. Now, for that to happen, we're going to need the stars to align. We're going to need all the rabbit feet in the world, all the lucky clovers, all the muti, all the everything for that to happen. And I just don't see how that is even possible. It's basically a wrap for us. Now, obviously the question is, are we even going to be able to qualify to Europa League? I know a lot of the fan base do not want Europa, but hey man, it's one of our revenue streams. It's a competition that we need to be in. We need to be in Europe. We need to what you call this? We need that European money basically, right? So we need to qualify for or we need to be in a European championship tournament in order for us to still keep that revenue rolling. It's gonna be detrimental to us if we're not in a Europa in a European tournament. So Yeah, for those fans who say they don't want to be in Europa, well, it's gonna cost us. We're not gonna have any money in the transfer window, and yeah, this club is just gonna keep falling, further down and further down, and I don't even know how far this club can sink before we start to get it right. But anyway, guys, that was the match review of Galatasaray versus Manchester United. It's safe to say that we're out of the competition. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to see things for the way they are. And hopefully, in the Premier League, we can do what needs to be done in order for us to qualify for Champions League next season and try again. Or if we drop into the Europa competition, then hopefully, hopefully, we can get far enough and maybe even win it. And that's the way we get back into the competition. But yeah, what more can I say? But anyway, guys, this weekend we're playing Newcastle. Interesting match. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Um, I guess our only saving grace is we have Luke Shaw back. We have Kobe Mainu back. I don't know what's going on with Varane and Ten Hag. I don't know what's going on with Casemiro. We've got Anthony back. Yeah, and it looks like we're picking up form. Like we are definitely playing better. We are scoring goals. We've now scored 6 goals in 2 games. When's the last time Manchester United did that this season, or even last season for that fact? Right, 6 goals in 2 games. So yeah, we just have to hope that they continue that goal scoring form and that we can take that into this Newcastle game because it's really gonna be a battle out for a victory. And with that being said, thank you guys for listening to this episode, and we'll definitely catch y'all in the next one, which will obviously be the Newcastle preview. And with that being said, I'm out. Peace.